now I have Howard Vicks with me. Howard was, I met him at a health fair actually, and was fascinated by what he does. He's an engineer and has a strong background in engineering with thermography, right?
Indeed. My background is actually building science, where I use thermography for diagnostics of buildings.
Okay, thermo is heat. We all know that. But
Correct.
Tell us what thermography does.
The application for thermography, medical thermography...
And we have photos, so we'll be showing some of those as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Thermography actually captures and maps the thermal pattern, the heat pattern of the human body.
And why is that important?
Because our bodies should be thermally symmetrical. In other words, this side of your body should be the same temperature as that side of your body.
Okay.
In this case, what we're looking at right here, this is a full body image, and what they're looking for is you can look left to right, and that you can see the guy's
so it's bilateral. Right, it's going to be equal.
Correct. It should be. And if it's not, there's an indicator. This happens to be a breast imaging. And again, you can see where the pattern and the heat on the right is distinctly different than the left. Okay?
And what does, all right, so you have this. What do you do then to find that out?
Well, here's what happens. We are a medical imaging center. Okay? All of our images are interpreted by an independent group of board-certified MDs. These are both general internists as well as specialists, cardiovascular people, orthopedic, dental, OBGYN, allergists, and endocrinologists.
So they can spot if something looks a little bit suspicious.
Correct. And again, the Pipers made the reference to early detection. One of the things that thermography allows is early detection. When you look at the 6 stages of disease, inflammation is the second stage.
Always. Yeah.
Thermography is able to detect the heat associated with inflammation. So the earlier you can detect a problem, the better the outcome is going to be.
So if you have an injury, you know, we all know you sprain something, you touch it, oh my God, it feels hot, and
Correct.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But how do you detect whether it's an illness as opposed to just an injury? Or is there a way?
Well, again, I have to be careful. I'm not a doctor.
No, I know, but
and
we've already established that.
What the doctors do is there is a medical history involved, and so when we do an imaging on somebody, there is a medical history. So the imaging and the history goes to the interpreting physicians.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Okay. Now, again, an acute problem like a sprain or a strain
That's what I meant. Yeah.
will show up as an imbalance, but there's a history associated with that.
You hurt yourself. You spent. So you can anyone have this done? I guess that's where I'm going. Is because you have your physicians that review this and will make some assessments on
Correct.
this. But suppose I decide, you know, I'd like to kind of know where do I stand? Because I've been to a chiropractor and they do the thermal imaging on your back, and they go, oh boy, it's really hot over here, and we know there's a problem there with the inflammation. Now, suppose I want to come to you and say, I'd like to have a whole body scan. Baseline scan. Okay. That's good, baseline. So you could do that in another year or 5 years?
Here's the beauty. First of all, let me answer the question. The majority of our patients are self-referred.
So anybody can do it. You don't need a doctor's.
Anybody can do it, and
but it's not covered by insurance.
Well, actually, if you have a health savings account with flexible spending, it is considered a diagnostic procedure.
Okay.
I just had a couple of patients come in a couple of weeks ago, and they had MVP. And so MVP is starting to cover this as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they're starting to understand.
Because this is early detection.
It's absolutely early detection.
And this is really what everything is about in medicine. Early detection. We can head it off at the pass.
Correct. And what happens is this. When we talk about the baseline. What we recommend is that everybody start with a baseline. Then you can monitor for changes over time. So your thermal pattern, everybody has a unique thermal signature. However, that thermal signature shouldn't change over time. Your fingerprints don't change. Your retina print doesn't change. Your thermal signature shouldn't change over time either. So if you establish a stable baseline, you can then monitor for changes over time, and if there is a change, That's an indicator that something is going
going
on
wrong.
physiologically
Yeah.
that requires further investigation.
Yeah, just to look at it, just to look a little bit more, because you shouldn't get alarmed.
No,
if-
no, not at all.
This
at
is
all.
not to get you alarmed. It's
Not
just
at
a baseline, and they'll look at it and see, and they might say, you know, have you been having trouble with your shoulder over here because it seems to be a little bit higher, so you might want to get that checked, or you know, and whatever it is.
The report that comes from Physicians Insight is essentially written by doctors to doctors.
Okay.
And
Oh,
what
so
it
you
does-
can bring it to your doctor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's meant to be, this is a piece of, thermography is a piece of the puzzle that doctors don't have.
They haven't been doing it. This is relatively new, isn't it?
Not really. Thermography's actually been around for 50 years.
Okay.
It's been approved by the FDA
They used to
since
do it, Dr.
1982.
Scholl's, with your foot too, you know.
Well, it's the same
Yeah,
idea, okay?
Yeah.
It's been approved by the FDA since 1982. However, it's only recently that it's starting to gain wider acceptance in the medical community, because now we are setting the standard. There is now a standard. In other words, what equipment are you using? We're using
And it's
a
FDA approved, so
The
we're not
thermography,
talking about,
correct.
you know, just,
No, it's not. It's nothing that's out in left field.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
has been approved by the FDA for 30-some-odd years
Yeah.
as an adjunctive diagnostic procedure, screening
Okay.
for medical applications. But the standard, I mean, we are using FLIR systems, top-of-the-line medical research-grade cameras.
any radiation in this?
It is absolutely safe. There is no contact, no pain, no radiation. It's 100% safe. You could have a thermogram done every day of the rest of your life. There is no risk, no side effect. And any person, any age, any size, any shape, there are no disqualifiers. About the only thing that we don't use thermography for is for children. In other words, your body has to have established, it's got to be mature.
Yeah.
So the thermal regulation. However, a child who comes in, let's say sports medicine, kids in high school, if they have an injury, we can determine that. Okay, we can monitor the effectiveness of a course of treatment. One of the biggest questions that athletic trainers have is, when is it safe to send this individual back?
Back.
So
And you
they're
can
not
tell,
running a risk.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when the
The
body is
inflammation,
healing,
yeah.
it's sending blood flow, we can see that increased heat pattern.
Now we know that anyone can do this. How expensive is it? I mean, you don't have. I mean, I don't need a dollar amount.
Well,
I'm just
it's very inexpensive.
Okay.
Because we are a fee-for-service business. I don't have to hire an individual
okay.
full-time just to deal with the paperwork.
Okay.
So it's a very simple process. I'll be open and honest with you. Our prices, depending on what we're scanning,
Because you have different kinds of scans.
is a full body scan is $495. That's 30 to 35 images, depending on the patient. Literally,
Many images that you do? Oh my gosh.
we do head, neck, thyroid, chest.
So you
neck,
focus
back.
on different areas then?
Absolutely.
So it's not
absolutely.
just like zip,
No.
like going into the airport and getting your...
No, not at all. It is, there are specific regions. We do scans of, we do cardiovascular screenings. We do women's health screenings. We'll do musculoskeletal screenings, dental screenings.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, because again, inflammation.
Well, I mean, this was very interesting to me. You know, I've been in the health field for all my life, and this is the first time I really had a chance to talk with someone who was intimately involved with thermography. So I found it to be very interesting and thought that I would bring him to this. He's located up in Clifton Park if you're interested. Because I think it's a different way of approaching your own personal health. You know, we talk about taking responsibility for your own health. Maybe this is one of the steps that you could take if you're afraid to go to the doctor.
and essentially, what we're doing is we're empowering people to have information so that they can make decisions on what's with them and their doctor, what's best for them.
Right.
And the more information you have and the earlier you have it, the better.
Information doesn't hurt. It's
That's
what
right.
you do with it that probably makes it a lot better for you. Howard, very nice to meet you.
Pleasure's
Thank
mine,
you.
and thank you
Keep
for
up
having
the
me
good
on.
work.